Strap in for the world's fastest half hour. You're on the Straight Line, presented by O'Reilly Auto Parts. And brought to you by Hercules Tires and Grunt Style Apparel. Now, here are your hosts, Doug Herbert and Marty Huff.
This is the Straight Line on Drag Racing. Thanks for stopping by our half-hour horsepower. Appreciate you being with us. A pair of two-time champions of the U.S. Nationals join us today. Pro motorcycle winner and our good friend Steve Johnson will be here, as well as current team owner, Top Fuel and Funny Car Big Go Victor Jim Head is also on the docket. The burnout is complete, and we're set to launch another edition of the Straight Line. Wherever you may be, coast to coast, around the world, this is the Straight Line on Drag Racing at MRN.com. Along with four-time IHRA Top Fuel champion and 10-time NHRA National Event winner Doug Herbert, I am Marty Huff, and we are getting you set for the Chevy Performance U.S. Nationals at Indianapolis. And Doug, we've waited all year for it. The testing is done. Everything is complete, and now we're just ready to go to the U.S. Nationals. What are the teams doing here in this off week between the test and getting ready for tomorrow's launch of the U.S. Nationals?
Well, it's the only race of the year that these teams are going to make 5 qualifying runs.
Yeah.
So they have the potential to make 9 runs during the race weekend. 1 run Friday, 2 run Saturday, 2 run Sunday, maybe even more if they're if they're in the with the funny car. They used to do that funny car shootout deal on Sunday or whatever. So they've got potential to actually make 10 runs, whoever wins the funny car shootout. So there's a lot going on. And I've had crew chiefs over the years, and I know a lot of the crew chiefs now. They hold parts aside to go to Indy. Like, okay, that blower, that is our best blower. We're saving that for Indy. Stuff like that. So there's a lot of preparation. There's a lot of work that goes into this one race. It's, I would say the Pomona Winter Nationals and Indy are the races where the most effort is actually dedicated to that event. Yeah, and one of the things that's the big variable, I mean, they can look at everything that they want, but Indianapolis in the middle or at the end of the summer, Labor Day weekend, it's hot, it's sticky. The conditions can a lot of times be a really good variable to bring some of the players that don't normally find themselves in the middle of winning a big event like that, kind of puts them back into play. Talk about the weather and playing that as a variable. Well, it's unknown. I mean, it can be, I'm guessing it's going to be pretty hot from the forecast that I looked at. It's going to be hot. The racetrack's going to be slick, which means there's going to be different conditions because they've got a Friday night qualifying run, and then that's the only night run. So that first run on Friday is pretty critical, and it's going to be different than anything that they've experienced really during testing. They maybe have one night testing run, but I talked to Bob Tasca the other day, and he was kind of telling me, that one night run was really where the guys made good runs down the track. And other than that, it was everybody's going out there and trying to figure out how to get down a marginal hot racetrack, basically, is what it comes down to. So, everybody's going to be dealing with the same track. And like you said, I think it does level the playing field a little bit. I mean, the guys with the big power that have it all figured out and can go really fast, it's not necessarily going to happen there because you're racing the track and you've got to get to the finish line before the competitor. That's just the way it goes. 1992, my first Indy that I went to the final round, had a really good car, and got beat by Ed McCulloch in the final. Ed the Ace McCulloch beat us in the final, and he just flat whooped us. The next year, we went to the final again and raced Pat Austin in the final. We both smoked the tires, and I got whipped.
It was and I remember every once in a while that'll hit YouTube and kind of hit the social media. And Pat Austin, again, one of those guys that you don't normally think of as being a contender for a U.S. Nationals championship, but there he was.
He won
in the
1993.
final.
I know he did. Yeah. I was in the other lane,
Yeah, and so close, so far away. But that's going to be one of those things that you look back on your career and go, man, woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Right. Well, in 1992, we got outran by McCulloch. So we go up there for the final. We were running good. We had potential to win the race. We go up there for the final, and we're like, we're hopping this thing up. We are not going to get outran this year, which was the dumbest thing we could have did because Pat Austin hopped his up. We both smoked the tires as soon as we hit the throttle. And I had an air clutch, which was when you smoke the tires, the engine RPM goes up. the clutch doesn't unlock up, so it just stays locked up. It's very difficult to drive. Pat had a hydraulic clutch more similar to what guys are running nowadays, and it was better for the backpedaling thing. So yeah, I mean, excuses doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, yeah, hindsight, I would have went up there in the final round in 1993, went down the track and won Indy, but it didn't happen.
Eddie Ace McCullough, and that was his only that was his one and only Top Fuel U.S. Nationals. Won 5 in Funny Car, and one of only 4 to win in both nitro categories. Jim Head is also one of those guys. We will talk to him in a couple of minutes, but coming up right after the break, our good friend and 2-time Indianapolis winner, Steve Johnson, will join us next.
Things happen fast in racing, and if you don't know where to look, you can miss it all. With Legend from Racing Electronics, you'll never miss another moment. Legend gives you live fan vision video, in-car cameras, and stats at premier National Series events, and the next generation race scanner for unfiltered driver and crew audio at any motorsports event nationwide. Race fans have never been closer to the action. Welcome to the future of the fan experience. Learn more by visiting racingelectronics.com.
Save on your next oil change when you purchase 5 quarts of Castrol high-mileage motor oil and a MicroGuard filter for the price of Castrol Conventional, now $26.99. Plus, you'll earn double points during O'Rewards Member Appreciation Month and receive a $10 O'Reilly gift card by mail. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
The race weekend doesn't have to end with the checkered flag. Carry the action over into Monday with MRN Motorsports Monday, presented by Outback Steakhouse. Log on to MRN.com and join veteran broadcaster Woody Kane and NASCAR spotter Joey Meyer as they review the race weekend and debate the biggest stories of the week ahead. Plus, some of the biggest names in the sport stop by to talk the latest topics. Make Monday your new favorite weekday with MRN Motorsports Monday at noon Eastern or anytime on demand at MRN.com. Welcome back to The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Here's more with Marty Huff and Doug Herbert.
Thanks for joining us today on MRN.com. It is The Straight Line, where we're getting you set for the U.S. Nationals. And joining us on the Racing Electronics Hotline right now is a 2-time winner of the Big Go, and our good friend Steve Johnson joins us. Stevie, how are you? As I understand that you're heading to Indy right now?
Wait, and the crowd goes wild.
We're pumping in crowd noise just for you, Steve.
In case our listeners don't know, Steve Johnson is quite a joker.
That's the canned applause that we have.
There it is, right there.
We were gonna test because we're such savvy racers that we're gonna be prepared not only at the shop, but to go down the track with our new secret weapon. Of course, I don't know what it is, but yeah, we were going to test, but it rained. It rained in St. Louis, and I feel like a knucklehead for not going north to Cordova.
Oh, man. Well, hey, you know what? You're going to a place in Indy where you've had some success, man, winning 2 big races in Indy. I remember one year when you camped out there, the photo finish year. Tell us a little bit about some of your experience racing for nearly 30 years or thereabouts at Indy and having the success that you've had.
Well, I guess one of my first memories of that place is we put a fairing on the motorcycles, and they evolution in the 80s. We all just had gas tanks and a headlight and a big back tire, and as it evolved. We put these fancy fairings on there. Dave Schultz kind of started that, and I was having my buddy Paul Lesage weld brackets on our motorcycle so we could hang the fairing on there instead of the bubble gum and paper clips that I was using. That because of the aerodynamics, and that's all of a sudden 30 years later, that's a big change, and now there's a aerodynamic issue in our class that some people are talking about, that some bikes have just a bigger advantage. So I never had the aerodynamic quote-unquote aerodynamic advantage. I was just always trying to be one of the guys or girls. Not really the girls. Oh, God, now I'm into trouble now with today's political stuff. But
Yeah,
you know where I'm going.
We don't even want to go there. 2005, you won, but you didn't win. For those that may not remember, Matt Smith actually was declared the winner, but it was pretty clear on the photo finish camera that you were at least a tire or more ahead, and 2 days later, you ended up getting the trophy. Take us back to that time, and when did you learn that you had actually won, or that there was some controversy involved?
Well, here's the quick note. So Matt Smith's racing for George Bryce, and we're in the finals. Light comes down. He's snoozing at the tree, and I pop the clutch and have a big advantage on him. And my bike didn't run on the big end. Matt got close at the finish. It was a photo finish, and the light came on for Matt Smith. And as I went down through the shutdown and made the left-hand turn to see all the photographers and everything that were not running to me, Brett Kepner hollers at me and says, which you have no idea what he's saying, and I had no idea what he was saying. So I pull around, and they're all jumping up and down for Matt, and blah, 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 blah. Well, one of the TV guys comes over and says, hey, they're going to want to talk to you. I'm like, back in those days, they didn't talk to the loser. So long story short, again, I'm only going to say it 3 times. We go up into the TV compound, and they rerun, me and the crew guy, Shane Maloney, and we go in there, and they rewind it, and they show us the bikes, and you see them, 100 feet before the finish, and frame to frame to frame to frame, and we're staring, and all of a sudden, my bike has got the front tire on the finish line, and Matt's bike is about, I don't know, it's a distance before the finish line. It was clear as hell. And so Shane is in the TV compound. For those of you listening, and that's the only people that are hearing this story right now, but those trucks are about $2 million, okay? or more, maybe $4 million. I don't know what the hell it is, but Shane says, we effing won the race. This is bull crap, and he walks to the door, and he shoves the door. It's got one of those arms that stick down. He shoves that door so hard that the door flings open, hits the back, flies, the hinge busts, and he goes out the door. And I'm looking there like the little kid at the Walmart throwing a temper tantrum because he can't get his box of Oreos, and the mom sitting there saying, oh, my God, what do I do now?
Yeah, right.
So, anyway, Mike Dunn says on TV, I don't know this because it was live, Mike Dunn says, hey, wait a minute, let's rewind that. That looked close. So they rewind it slow motion, and he's like, wow, Steve Johnson won that race. And little did I know, that's what America was saying watching that show, watching the TV broadcast. They're like, hey, man, so anyway, there's a beam that shoots across the track when your tire breaks the beam. It tells the computer, okay, this vehicle has crossed the line. So what happened was they said that the beam went through my front tire, and it got tripped by my fairing. Well, that's about 26 inches. So I lost 26 inches of distance, and Matt was closer than that 26 inches, so the computer saw his front tire before it saw my fairing, and because of Mike Dunn, on Tuesday, it had shut down the NHRA's website because so many people were like, hey, man, what the hell's going on here? So, you can get the idea. Then they had this show called NHRA Today.
Yeah.
They brought Matt on the show. They brought me on the show. Matt handed the trophy over to me, and I said, yo, biatch, give me that damn trophy. they reconfigured the quote unquote winner's circle, and they brought over everybody that was there. I forgot who was there. I think it was Anderson and I don't know, Larry Dixon, and he didn't have a 2-seat car back then. So, anyway, that was kind of the story. And I guess what ties that all together with our conversation over 30 years is Wally Parks himself. When he saw me at the races, he would say, "Steve, tell me what happened again." I'm like, "Wally, it's been 10 years, man. How are you still remembering that?" Or 5 years or whatever it is. So he was a great, great man, and I was very, very proud that he knew who I was. And that little situation just created a little bit more of a brand for me and the sanction body, because I had to choose to be mad like Shane, or Katrina had just destroyed all of Baton Rouge and Texas, and I said on TV, "Look, I'm not leaving until they figure this out." But there's people that don't have water in Mississippi, and Baton Rouge, and wherever it was else, Florida, and I think I actually said Missouri, and then the announcer dogged me out about that. But I tried to look at the bigger picture, and instead of dogging out the sanction body, I took the high road, and it unfolded nicely for me.
Hey, Steve, tell us about your team. Tell us about this year at Indy. So you've just got through with some testing. You're going to Indy. Do you have a sponsor on board for Indy? You're still got a Ford sponsor needed trailer sign on the side of your deal, or what?
Well, Jock is my trusted chief technician, a graduate of MMI in beautiful Florida, the Motorcycle Mechanics Institute, and he's sitting right next to me. So I'm praising his praise, because he's driving and I suck at driving. So we did go testing, but we just didn't get on the racetrack. So we're headed to Indy, and believe it or not, I feel like we can win. I know Jock thinks we can win. We've got a motorcycle. It's avocado green, and Angel says, "Hey, guacamole! Hey, hurry up, guacamole!" That's my best Angel imitation. And we have a company called MacRack. They have an engineered repair system for those of you that have a racking system in your facility. So like you have a big, huge warehouse and somebody runs into the side of it with a forklift, MacRack.com has a technically engineered device that clamps to your racking system, jacks it up, and you cut out the section, put in a new section, and you don't have to lose all the time of unloading and reloading your racking system. So it's a neat sponsor, and he loves drag racing.
Wow. Well, that's cool. Well, you got points and a half at Indy, so the plan needs to be go there, get yourself in the top 10, so so at least you've got a shot at this championship this year. You've got to get in the top 10 to have the shot, right?
That's right. People wake up every morning with, how do I pay my bills? How do I, worry about Junior going to school? It takes me right to, they think about, is he safe driving? And then obviously, do I need a raise? And all these things that go on in our people's lives. My big deal is we just want to win the race and get points so we can try to have a mellow yellow championship. But even before all that, in all corniness set aside, we just want to win the race. I don't even care about the points.
Well, Steve Johnson, good luck in Indy. Two-time Indy event winner, Steve Johnson. Also, Brakes board member. A lot of our listeners will be familiar with Brakes. Steve Johnson is a founding board member with me on that, and he was in the basement of our house with the kids when we came up with the whole Brakes idea. So, Steve Johnson, thanks for joining us today. Good luck at Indy. Go get him.
Man, we can't wait. I'm excited. Thank you guys for covering our sport. It gives us a platform. My buddy Tony Toll is hopefully listening, and you can't go anywhere with me without some Slick 50. So check it out at O'Reilly and come watch us on All Access. Boom. Or come to the actual races and see us live.
And one hell of a salesman too. Steve Johnson, thanks so much for your time. We really appreciate it. Good luck at Indy.
Jock and I say bye, everybody.
Steve Johnson joining us on the straight line. And when we return, another two-time champion of Indianapolis is coming up, and that is Jim Head. But first, I need to tell you about those guys right there. STP. It's STP Race Week all week long here on the Motor Racing Network. And if you're looking for more power under the hood, start at the gas tank with STP Ultra 5-in-1 system. Fuel system cleaner. STP inside every great machine. As advertised, coming up, Jim Head will join us next.
Citywide to countryside, whatever you drive, wherever you go. Hercules Tires has the value, selection, and industry-leading warranty to get you there, no matter where the road takes you. To learn more, visit HerculesTire.com. Hercules Tires, ride on our strength.
I'm former crew chief and STP auto expert Steve Letarte. Does your engine feel like it's down on power? It could be caused by deposits on fuel injectors, engine valves, and combustion chambers. An easy way to help clean up your fuel system and restore lost power is through the gas tank with STP Ultra 5-in-1 Fuel System Cleaner. One bottle contains 3 times the amount of cleaning agents versus the leading premium gasoline to help keep your engine running strong. STP inside every great machine.
One bottle contains 3 times by weight the amount of cleaning agents and 35 gallons of the leading premium gasoline.
It's O'Rewards Member Appreciation Month at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Stop in today and check out store-wide savings, plus earn double points on over 250 items. It's our way of saying thank you. If you're not already a member, sign up today during O'Rewards Member Appreciation Month. It's fast, easy, and free. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
You're listening to The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Now, back to Marty Huff and Doug Herbert.
Appreciate you joining us here on The Straight Line, and a big thanks to Steve Johnson for joining us here on The Straight Line. And joining us right now on the Racing Electronics Hotline, two-time U.S. Nationals winner, Jim Head joins us. Jim, thanks so much for your time. It's a busy time for you. I know that, and we really appreciate your time. Thanks for being here.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm not working too hard, but my guys sure are.
Well, Jim Head, I've known you for a long time, and you always, you know, I'm thinking back over the years, like guys that have actually bought and paid for their own nitro, and the most of it. And Connie Collette is probably the top of the list, but you got to be second on that list. You bought and paid for more nitro than anybody I could think of.
Yeah, I'm afraid I'm catching up, regretfully.
Well, hey, you know, your Indies win, Funny Card 1983, and then I remember the Top Fuel win in 1996 is dedicated to Blaine Johnson. Tell us a little bit about your winning at Indy and your racing at Indy and some of your highs and lows that you've had there.
Well, for sure the highs are winning the race, no question. And I think I've been to 50 Indies or 48 of them or whatever, 15 as a sportsman, or maybe I think maybe 13 as a sportsman, and then as a pro competitor literally ever since I turned pro in 1980. Been to, I think, all of them but 2 since 1980, back when I went IHRA racing there for a while. But the highs are definitely winning. The lows, yeah, DNQ'd once or twice maybe, I don't know.
Wow.
That's always a low for anybody for sure.
Yep. No, there's no doubt about that. But you do know how to win, and everybody's seen you win. I've seen you win and had a lot of fun experiences racing with you, and just being a friend with you for a long time too. Your business, you're kind of like I was for a long time. You run your business, and then you go to the races for having fun. But that's a lot of work. Jim Head's kind of like a 24/7, worker.
Well, I got to be. I got a lot of bills to pay, for sure. But I enjoy the construction business every bit as much as I enjoy drag racing. I got to tell you that. I don't envy the guys that have an opportunity to do it full time. I've got definitely some full time professionals on my team that's all they do. But no, I'm in the construction business and also the racing business.
Your first year in funny car, you started on in the pros, started off in Top Fuel, and then made the transition over to funny cars. And then that year, you ended up beating Kenny Bernstein in the finals. Bernstein pretty much had the field covered, but in the final, he lit it up, and you got down the racetrack. What are your memories of that day and winning your first U.S. Nationals trophy?
Consistency. I mean, that's definitely how we won. We didn't. We were just getting down the track every lap, and not the quickest by any means, but we were getting down there, and that one. And consistency's won a lot of drag races over the years for sure. And we're kind of coming back full circle now in the 2018 season with the track prep being changed, and we're back to consistency. So that's what we're all working on in both Top Fuel and Fuel Funny Car.
You said that going from a dragster to a funny car made you more conservative because that motor was right in front of you. True?
Absolutely. I was a mess when I first started racing Top Fuel. I was a good gasoline racer and only raced alcohol for 6 months, but the switch from sportsman racing to the fuel ranks, I didn't do well at all. And with help from, probably my best mentor was Dick LaHaye. He kind of got me squared around in the early 80s, and then when I switched to funny car, I became very conservative. And again, looking for that consistency. And since then, the expense of racing has continued to make me conservative for sure. And we're back to funny cars now, and so we try not to hurt parts, that's for sure. And in the funny car business, hurting parts is pretty painful because you're going to lose bodies, and you know it's a frightening deal having your legs straddle around that thing.
Hey, Jim, this year you've got Johnny Lindbergh driving your car. You're 13th in points. You've got a chance to get in the top 10, especially going into Indy with 1.5 points. Yeah. What are you feeling like? You feeling good about your situation, and you've had luck at Indy and good ran good there.
Well, we hope so. We really fouled up this season for sure. We our car got crunched in Phoenix, and that hurt us in Gainesville and didn't qualify in Gainesville, and then 2 passes up in Norwalk earlier this year, and we also DNQ'd again. So that really hurt us in the points. It's possible to recover, and I got to tell you though, I go into every race thinking I can win the race, or I wouldn't attend. We've got a good team and got a good car, and the stars align. We'll have a good race. Be great.
You're the tuner, and also, as you mentioned, in the construction business. What are the things that correlate between what you do in your 9-to-5 job and what you do as a tuner at the racetrack during the weekends?
I got to tell you, I think nothing. I really do. I'm very successful in the construction business, and I'm not nearly as successful in the racing business. No, there's not a lot of parallels between the civil engineering world and the tuning business for a nitro car. But again, 2 separate businesses, 2 separate challenges, and I enjoy them both very much.
Well, Jim Head, we appreciate you coming on the show. Good luck at Indy, and it's been great knowing you for all these years, and we've always had a good relationship. I appreciate you being out there and your dedication to the sport of drag racing and doing everything that you've done. You're a good guy.
Thanks a lot. I really appreciate it, and glad to talk to you anytime.
Two-time Indy winner in funny car and in dragsters. Only 4 individuals have ever done that. That would be Kenny Bernstein. That would be Don Perdome, Ed McCullough, and Jim Head.
Yeah.
I mean, you
wouldn't
about
expect maybe Jim Head to, you'd think Del Warsham or, but no, Jim Head. So great competitor. And Jim, like he said, he loves drag racing. Yeah. He has spent as much of his own money drag racing. It's it's his hobby. I mean, he loves going drag racing, and his son's driven the car. The guys that he has work on the car over the years. I mean, I go by there and I still know those guys. They've been working on his car for 30 years. You know, it's the same guys. Some of them are getting a little long in the tooth, but they're smart. They got gray hair because they're smart. And Jim does a great job.
And he keeps them around because, as he said, parts attrition, especially on a funny car, is really important because
it's expensive and dangerous too.
Yeah, because
and he mentioned something about Phoenix. We saw that the deal with John Force back at Phoenix earlier in the year, and Force went over and got tangled up with Jim Head's car. Did they ever figure that out? I don't know, but it sounded like Jim Head still got a little bit of, he's still not totally happy about that situation.
Yeah, indeed. And big thanks to Jim Head and also Steve Johnson for joining us, and all of our guests joining us on the Racing Electronics Hotline. And for 30 years, Racing Electronics has been the #1 choice for racing scanners, headphones, and the popular FanVision handheld unit. Check out all our great new products online at racingelectronics.com. When we come back, do not miss this. Our red light, green light is coming up, and we'll tell you about a great paint scheme just for Indianapolis, and we've got it as as one of our features. So after the break, that's coming up. We'll show you a great paint scheme coming up, and we'll wrap up another great edition of the show.
If your vehicle is riding rough, it may be time for new shocks or struts. Right now at O'Reilly Auto Parts, buy a combination of 2 or 4 select Monroe or Rancho shocks and struts and get up to an $80 Visa gift card by mail. Improve your ride with Monroe or Rancho shocks and struts at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limit supply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm former crew chief and STP auto expert Steve Letarte. Does your engine feel like it's down on power? It could be caused by deposits on fuel injectors, engine valves, and combustion chambers. An easy way to help clean up your fuel system and restore lost power is through the gas tank with STP Ultra 5-in-1 Fuel System Cleaner. One bottle contains 3 times the amount of cleaning agents versus the leading premium gasoline to help keep your engine running strong. STP, inside every great machine.
One bottle contains 3 times by weight the amount of cleaning agents and 35 gallons of the leading premium gasoline.
Change is good. You're either growing together or growing apart. Some kind of change is always happening.
There are plenty of changes in the NASCAR garage in 2018. What isn't changing is NASCAR Today Midday, keeping you up to date.
To be able to drive for Roger Penske on the Cup side has been something I've always wanted to do, and to bring the 12 car back, I think it's a pretty big deal.
Your midday NASCAR fix is NASCAR Today Midday, weekdays here on the Motor Racing Network, the voice of NASCAR.
You're staged and ready for another run on the straight line. Brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Here's Doug and Marty.
Big thanks to Jim Head and Steve Johnson for joining us here on the straight line. And this is the portion of the show we like to call Red Light, Green Light. It is brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. And this may be the best red light, green light of the year. Or a couple of days ago, Mike Salinas announced that he was doing a retro paint scheme to honor Tom the Mongoose McEwen, the late Tom the Mongoose McEwen. And that's it right there. And if that is not cool, I don't know what is. It's just one of the coolest things that we've seen. And going back to the old English leather days. Yeah. And
kudos and hats off to Mike Salinas for doing that. Something, such as a neat throwback car. Some of our listeners would remember Tom the Mongoose McEwen won the Indy race 1978 over highly favored Don Perdome in the final. It was right after his son Jamie passed away. It was a really, Don Perdome probably wasn't even that upset that McEwen won that race. And trust me, Perdome is usually upset if he doesn't win the race. But that particular one, everybody was pulling for McEwen. And so for that, I think Mike Salinas doing that is just a great hats off to him. I think that's super, super neat for him to be showing the lifetime of appreciation to Tom Mongoose McEwen.
Yep, and just a really cool scheme. Real quick before we leave you, let's take a look at the point standings, as that's going to be most important and most critical heading into Indianapolis. And Top Fuel we'll take a look at first. And it's down at the bottom that's really interesting because Mike Salinas is the guy right now as the target guy. He's on the bump. Richie Crampton just 2 points back. Scott Palmer's up only 9 points. So it's basically those 3 guys for 1 spot.
Yeah, and I mean that can be, those points are tight enough that it can be, they could all go out first round, and it's based on qualifying points who gets in the top 10. So yeah, that's going to be pretty. That's definitely open to those three. Same thing in Funny Car. It looks like there's probably 4 or 5 deals there in Pro Stock car. I think it's pretty much over.
Yeah,
Bo Butner's getting in 10th place. And then, as we were talking about earlier with Steve Johnson, that's another wide open dogfight.
Yeah, and then we'll take a look at bikes right here, because that's the really crazy one. You're talking from Angie Smith all the way down to Ryan Ayler. There's about 100 points between all of those, and with points and a half, who knows? I mean, you're talking about 8 drivers right now going for just a handful of spots.
Right.
So this is going to be really important to watch. And like we said, our good friend Steve Johnson, 19 points out. So hopefully he
less than a round.
by.
Indy points are 30 rounds, or 30 points per round. So less than a round. And the qualifying points are going to be important at Indy, that's for sure. So we'll definitely keep an eye on that.
And some bike news out there. Our good friend Chip Ellis will be riding a Vance and Hines bike at Indianapolis. So good luck to Chip as well. So for everybody involved in the show, thanks for being here. We will talk to you next week here on The Straight Line.